In the crcrs-manifesto, under the candid core principle, I encourage us to nurture a gentle sense of irony about our judgments, opinions, and stories about ourselves and others. I want to expand on this. A well-developed sense of irony is what gives us those moments of insight that the story being told is incomplete or even twisted to hide the truth. This is especially true of our own stories or stories that we find appealing. When combined with a cultivated understanding of human nature and emotional intelligence and critical thinking skills, it becomes an essential philosophical and spiritual tool. It lets us realize our certainty is unwarranted and motivated by our desire for easy, certain answers. It lets us realize that we can be completely wrong about the things we are most passionate about. It lets us see that we're rationalizing to support an existing opinion rather than being open-mindedly rational. It shows us that the reason we can't stop talking about why we're right is that we're deeply insecure about being wrong. It lets us see past presentation and claims to the outcomes and real attitudes that are borne out in practice. It equally lets us see that we might be projecting or assuming others' attitudes and desired outcomes. It lets us realize when our anger covers up sadness, fear, and insecurity. It lets us see that we're coping with a deeply unacceptable isolation by telling stories about why the isolation is okay. It lets us see when our rejection of others is based on fear, hurt, sour grapes, or envy. It lets us see others' hurt and vulnerability, even as our vulnerability allows their speech or behavior to hurt us. It lets us notice when we fail by the very unrealistic standards that we hold others to. It lets us see that they fail by the standards they hold us to. It lets us see that we lower ourselves by trying to elevate ourselves at others' expense. It lets us notice when our desire to spread understanding, love, tolerance, and peace has somehow twisted into blame, hatred, intolerance, and conflict. It lets us see when our anger at others is owed to ourselves. It lets us admit that we aren't the best people ever. But equally, after we've stopped hiding behind the positive, strong stories, it lets us see through the negative, weak stories too. It lets us see that it's okay to not be okay. It helps us accept that people have the right to be wrong. It lets us speak with confidence while realizing we may need to eat our words when we find out we were mistaken. It lets us follow the "I don't want to do this" story with doing it, and the "I give up" story with persistence. It lets us see that the pain of isolation implies the value of and need to seek connection. It lets us realize that the sound of sirens signals both that something has gone wrong and that people are rushing to help. It lets us see that our virtues and strength of values aren't erased by our negative narratives or shame, any more than our vices and weaknesses were erased by our positive narratives and acclaim. The moon, seem it full or new, is half from truth's point of view. A well-developed sense of irony gives us our best opportunity to see our shared humanity in our shared flaws as well as our shared potential. It lets us commit to connection and tolerance while still being prone to all the dispositions that lead to division and standing in harsh judgment. And that is why it must be cultivated in a CRCRS.